Parasite, Gu, breeding long vitae path, starting from the love-enamored Gu. By Thousand Lakes True Person. Chapter 11, Eliminating Future Troubles, Did Zhou Sui Play Dead? Outside Misty Cloud City, lies the Cloud Mist Mountain Range. At this time, Lu Dong and 3 other loose cultivators appeared deep in the mountain range. They were all at the Qi cultivation 7th layer, possessing enough strength to protect themselves to a certain extent within the Cloud Mist Mountain Range. Are you sure you found 100-year-old golden thistle spiritual medicine? Lu Dong couldn't help but ask. Of course. A thin-faced middle-aged cultivator nodded. I would absolutely not deceive you, we've been friends for many years. I was previously chased by demonic beasts in the Cloud Mist Mountain Range and accidentally came upon a valley, where I discovered that 100-year-old spiritual medicine. It's a pity that the 100-year-old spiritual medicine is guarded by several lower first-grade demonic beasts. I am no match for them at all, completely unable to get close, so I've invited fellow deists to join me. I believe you also know the value of a 100-year-old spiritual medicine. Even one can be worth over 1,000 lower-grade spirit stones, and if we add the corpses of several demonic beasts, this loot could be worth at least 2,000 or 3,000 lower-grade spirit stones. Even if we divide it among the 4 of us, our share will be substantial. He swore to the heavens, asserting that he spoke the truth without a single lie. Not bad, if this matter is true, then you will definitely have a share in the gains. Upon hearing this, Lu Dong also felt relieved. The other party was also a long-time acquaintance, and although not the most reliable in daily affairs, he at least wouldn't lie. Moreover, they knew each other well, so he figured the other wouldn't dare to deceive him. He thought if this operation succeeded, he would at least earn hundreds of lower-grade spirit stones, and then he would be able to buy pills to break through to the Qi cultivation 8th layer. This was about his path to foundation establishment, and he couldn't afford any mishaps. However, at this moment, he also recalled Zhou Sui, the son of his former friend, and his expression darkened immediately. If it weren't for that pretty boy getting involved with a Qi cultivation 9th layer female cultivator, that house would have already been his. Then, he could have cultivated safely to the Qi cultivation 9th layer within Misty Cloud City, without the need to venture outside of the city. It had been almost a month now, and that Zhou Sui should have been drained dry by that Black Widow by now. Disaster, we're under attack. Suddenly, while Lu Dong was still lost in his thoughts, his body shuddered, and his hairs stood on end as he felt a lethal murderous intent approaching. This was the innate instinct of a loose cultivator. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw 4 silver sword lights appear in the distance, lightning fast, filled with the terrifying power of metal that could pierce through anything. At this moment, he sensed a life-threatening crisis and tried to dodge. Regrettably, the sword light was too quick for him to evade even with his cultivation. Boom! In an instant, his head was pierced by the sword light, exploding like a watermelon, shattered to pieces with blood splattering everywhere. He couldn't even make a sound before dying. Even in his last moments, he didn't see who killed him. But just before dying, Lu Dong regretted deeply. If he had known how dangerous it was outside the city, he would never have come out. Sadly, it was all too late to say anything now. It wasn't just Lu Dong, the other 3 loose cultivators met the same fate, killed by a single sword strike, their bodies collapsing instantly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Not long after, 3 graceful figures emerged from the jungle. They were Ji Binjiu, Muzii, and Xia Jinjian. Sister, I haven't seen you make a move in a month, and you haven't seemed to practice much either. How come your sword Qi is even more powerful now than before? To kill 4 Qi cultivation 7th layer cultivators with a single sword strike is truly amazing. Muzii looked at Ji Binjiu with undisguised admiration. Indeed, the power of this sword faintly boasts a grace akin to that of a foundation-building cultivator. Xia Jinjian also felt quite astonished. She had seen sword cultivators in the Qi cultivation stage before, but someone as formidable as Ji Binjiu in the Qi cultivation stage was a first for her. The Ji Binjiu of before was still within the realms of reason, but now, she had grown more than twice as strong as she had been just a month ago. The question was, wasn't this woman engrossed in nightly revelries, lost in the pleasures of the flesh? How could it be that after a month of not seeing her, she had grown so much stronger? She was brimming with confusion. I'm not quite sure myself, but after being with my husband, I've always felt that my soul power has significantly increased, even giving rise to spiritual sense befitting of the foundation establishment realm, Ji Binjiu said with a slight smile. It is for this reason that my swordsmanship realm seems to have made leaps and bounds, having reached the state where the autumn breeze has not stirred, but the cicada senses it beforehand. At this moment, she also reminisced about the events of the past month, her face flushing red. It was merely a short departure, yet she found herself longing for her husband again. It was truly a case of absence making the heart grow fonder, as if 3 autumns had passed with but a moment's separation. However, her primary purpose for coming out this time was to deal with this Lu Dong, the despicable man who once tried to assassinate her husband. She could hardly sleep at night if she did not take care of him. Is that really possible? Xia Jinjian was overwhelmed with shock. Could dual cultivation truly enhance one's cultivation so rapidly? Or was it that the man possessed some unique quality that allowed a female cultivator's cultivation to progress? If it was the latter, then the value of that man was not as simple as it seemed. She sank into deep contemplation. All right, let's head deeper into the Misty Cloud Mountain range, gather the spiritual medicine we find, and then return to Misty Cloud City, Ji Binjiahu said, eager to return to Misty Cloud City. Even a brief absence made her feel like she was coming down with lovesickness, a feeling unbearably difficult to endure. Fine. Xia Jinjian, somewhat helplessly, quickly took the storage bags left behind by Lu Dong and the other cultivators. As for their corpses, the nearby demonic beasts would soon come to consume them. In the Misty Cloud Mountain range, such battles were all too common, and nobody made a big deal out of them. Elsewhere, Zhou Sui also began to leave his home. After all, he had stayed at home for a month, and a period of stillness often precedes movement. Of course, the most important thing was that he was going to the nearby shops to look for the materials needed to refine goo insects. Zhou Sui, you're not dead. Just as Zhou Sui had just stepped out, a middle-aged cultivator neighbor couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. His name was Zhang Cheng, a lower first-grade pill master at the Qi Cultivation 6th layer, 45 years old. He was also a long-time neighbor of the Zhou family. Dead? Why would I be dead? Hearing this, Zhou Sui's mouth twitched, and he looked at the other party with a speechless expression. Cough cough, a misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. I thought you hadn't come out of your house in a month, so maybe something had happened to you, Zhang Cheng said, his face extremely embarrassed as he quickly tried to smooth things over. After all, he assumed that since Zhou Sui had been absent for so long, he had been drained dry by the so-called widow and had perished, his body cold for a month. So, when he saw Zhou Sui suddenly venture out, he thought Zhou Sui had come back from the dead, and might even be a wronged soul seeking revenge on the widow. Who could have expected that this young man would still be so full of life? It was truly unfathomable. Chapter 12, Brewing Wine Bug, Chaos in Misty Cloud City. An accident? You're the one hatching accidents. How on earth would anything happen to me at home? Zhou Sui retorted irritably. Ahem, misunderstanding. A real misunderstanding. I must really watch my tongue. Please forgive me. Zhang Cheng apologized profusely. Anyway, what have you gone out for today? He looked embarrassed. After all, he was the one who spoke out of turn. Just out to buy a few things. Zhou Sui couldn't be bothered to chat with him and took his leave. As Zhou Sui left the street, his neighbors seemed to have all come out, each looking puzzled at the departing figure of Zhou Sui. Can't be, Zhou boy is still alive? Wasn't he supposed to have been leeched by that demoness? Someone was absolutely astonished. Because according to his estimation, Zhou Sui should have been dead by now. Who would have thought that he was still alive and kicking? If he hadn't seen it himself, he wouldn't have believed it. Indeed, it's strange. Could the female cultivator not be after him for leeching, but rather to become Taoist companions? Impossible. This youngster's cultivation is too low. How could a beautiful, powerful female cultivator take a liking in him? Cut the crap. I also can't believe this. But the thing is, facts speak louder than words. The youngster has no issues, but his cultivation has increased. It's all fake, totally false. Don't let the demoness fool you. Perhaps she found Zhou's cultivation too low and wanted to fatten him up before killing. It's indeed possible. If it's only at the first level of Qi cultivation, even if she drains him completely, there won't be much benefit to it. It would be better to enhance Zhou Sui's cultivation and then drain him, which is even more beneficial. Everyone was murmuring with speculation. They would never believe that the beautiful female cultivator was genuinely into Zhou Sui. They thought that she was going to fatten him up and then reap the benefits. If it wasn't for that, nothing else could explain what was going on. It wasn't long before Zhou Sui confidently arrived at the pill medicine pavilion in Misty Cloud City. This store not only sold all types of pills but also various types of medicinal herbs. The owner of Pill Medicine Pavilion, Zhao, was an old acquaintance of Zhou Sui's parents, having known each other for over a decade. Little Zhou is here. What kind of pill do you need today? Shopkeeper Zhao smiled slightly. No, I'll be getting some spiritual medicines, like the 10-year wine snake grass. Do you have it? Zhou Sui stated his requirement directly. The reason why he needed wine snake grass was that it was the main ingredient for brewing wine bug, and he wanted to refine this special goo insect to earn spirit stones. As for the wine bug, it lived in wine and possessed an incredible power over alcohol. Even an ordinary liquor would be transformed into spiritual wine under the power of the wine bug. You should know that a pot of regular first-level spiritual wine is worth at least 40 to 50 lower-grade spirit stones, which is even more expensive than ordinary pills. The reason for this is that compared to pills, spiritual wine has fewer toxic components and can purify the spiritual power in the body, making it very popular among cultivators. Unfortunately, it's difficult to brew spiritual wine, and the output is scarce, causing spiritual wine to be in constant short supply. Even with enough spirit stones, it's not always available for purchase. Once the wine bug is refined successfully, Zhou Sui can use its power to convert ordinary wine into spiritual wine. This is equivalent to transforming worthless wine into spiritual wine worth tens of lower-grade spirit stones. This is simply a nightmaric profit, similar to a money printing machine. In fact, previously Zhou Sui had also planned to refine the wine bug first to earn a large amount of spirit stones. However, he knew that if he really did this, even if Misty Cloud City was incredibly safe, he would be killed the next day by other cultivators who would rob him of his spirit stones. After all, cultivators refrain from acting only because the benefits are not significant enough. If the benefits are indeed big enough, they could kill him and easily escape from Misty Cloud City. Even if Misty Cloud City tried to apprehend them, they could simply never return to Misty Cloud City in the future. With a large number of spirit stones, the world is huge and there are no places they cannot go. That's why he did not dare to refine the wine bug. But now it's different. He has a Taoist companion who's reached the 9th layer of Qi cultivation by his side. Even if he earns an enormous sum of spirit stones, he can easily protect this massive fortune without worrying about the coveting of others. Wine snake grass? Yes, it's a key ingredient in making spiritual wine. However, a portion of wine snake grass is worth 100 lower-grade spirit stones. Are you sure you want to buy it? Shopkeeper Zhao said. 100 lower-grade spirit stones? Why is it so expensive? Wasn't it just 70 lower-grade spirit stones last month? Zhou Sui frowned. He wasn't a fool, so he wouldn't purchase overpriced spiritual medicine. Is this Zhao trying to exploit him knowing he's easy to bully? Young Zhou, I am not fleecing you. Shopkeeper Zhao explained, perhaps you are not aware, but recently the prices of pills, talismans, spiritual medicine and so on in Misty Cloud City have all been rising. In perhaps a little while, the prices may get even higher. What do you mean? Hearing this, Zhou Sui was stunned because the price in Misty Cloud City has always been very stable and rarely fluctuates so much. Have some sort of changes occurred in Misty Cloud City? Don't you know yet? This has been quite the talk of the town. Shopkeeper Zhao said gravely, recently, the Immortal Mist sect found a red gold mine and a spirit stone mine in the Misty Mountains, which exceeds 100,000 tons in output. Now, the whole Immortal Mist sect is ecstatic. To exploit these mines, the Immortal Mist sect has dispatched a large number of personnel to the Misty Mountains. Along with them are various cultivator families who rushed over. The Misty Mountains are complex in terms of topography, always shrouded in fog, and filled with numerous magical animals, making development difficult. Thus, the Immortal Mist sect invited numerous cultivators to join in the exploitation. And it's because of this that a large number of foreign cultivators have been pouring into Misty Cloud City recently. Haven't you noticed the poor security situation in Misty Cloud City recently? Incidents involving homicide and treasure snatching occur frequently. If it were the previous Misty Cloud City, such things would not happen at all. But because there are so many foreign cultivators, the city's law enforcement team simply can't handle it. Even if the law enforcement team wanted to regulate, they couldn't, as all these foreign cultivators are ferocious and brutal, with some even having foundation establishment families as their backers. Faced with these illegal acts, the law enforcement team can only turn a blind eye. What? Hearing this, Zhou Sui was shocked. He hadn't expected that within just a month, such changes had occurred in Misty Cloud City. Over the past month, he was mostly immersed in his cozy home, never bothering about what was happening in the outside world. He hadn't imagined that such great chaos would emerge in Misty Cloud City within just a short month. No wonder he always felt that there were a lot more cultivators on the street recently, each of them emanating the aura of killing intent. Chapter 13-13 The Power of Illusion, Killing the Robber Cultivator. Undoubtedly, for some time to come, Misty Cloud City would become the center of attention for cultivators. After all, it is the only city for cultivators within the Cloud Fog Mountain Range. The Immortal Mist Sect, in order to develop the Cloud Fog Mountain Range, will most certainly promise great rewards, enticing many cultivators to risk their lives for them, clearing away the beasts within the mountains and constructing roads. Around that time, the prices of everything in Misty Cloud City, from pills, talismans, spiritual medicines, food, to magic artifacts, will all soar. Most likely, Misty Cloud City will become a place rife with conflict and contention, a far cry from its former peace. If that's the case, the price of spiritual wine might rise as well, allowing me to make a huge profit. Zhou Sui was rubbing his chin in thought. With these thoughts in mind, he proceeded without hesitation. Despite the rising cost of spiritual medicinal ingredients, purchasing them was a definite must for him. He ended up spending 200 lower-grade spirit stones to purchase the wine snake grass and other materials required to cultivate the wine bug. Then, he went to other stores to purchase large quantities of spirit rice and spirit meat. After all, currently, his household had grown, requiring him to store a large amount of food. With the present situation this chaotic, he probably wouldn't be venturing out often in the near future, necessitating him to stock up on food in advance. Fortunately, the Supreme Goo God Bowl he had contained a storage space within it, exceeding 1,000 cubic meters in size, much akin to that of a large warehouse. He did not need to worry about running out of space for food storage. What's going on? Once he completed these tasks, his keen senses were alerted to a scrutinizing gaze directed towards him. This was the power of the Dream Soul Goo, which allowed him to sense his surroundings, a power comparable to the spiritual sense of a foundation establishment stage cultivator. Although the person observing him from the shadows thought of themselves as being very surreptitious, they were still detected by him. There are 3 cultivators staring at me. One of them is at Chi Cultivation 5th layer, and the other 2 are at the 4th layer. Is Misty Cloud City this chaotic now? They dare to make a move in broad daylight within the city. Zhou Sui was taken aback. He didn't expect Misty Cloud City, a place much safer in the past, to be riddled with disorder due to the influx of foreign cultivators. It was far from the safe haven it once was. These foreign cultivators, accustomed to their unrestrained ways outside, engaged in indiscriminate burning, killing and looting. Even when they arrived in Misty Cloud City, they showed no signs of altering their original behavior. It is quite normal for someone like him, a cultivator at the 2nd stage of Chi cultivation, to catch the attention of these foreign cultivators. Thankfully, he had already completed the cultivation of the Dream Soul Goo. Despite currently only being at the 2nd stage of Chi cultivation, his soul power was significantly strong, comparable to a cultivator in the late stages of Chi cultivation. Also, combined with the power of the Dream Soul Goo, taking on cultivators at the 5th or even 6th layer of Chi cultivation wouldn't be a problem at all. It was for this reason that he wasn't overly concerned. A swift victory is required. With this thought in mind, Zhou Sui calmly started to move towards a dark alley. At this moment, there were also 3 cultivators covertly watching Zhou Sui from not too far away. They were not indigenous cultivators of Misty Cloud City, but rather loose cultivators who had come from other places. They had heard that Misty Cloud City was flush with wealth, a utopia for loose cultivators, and thus came to seek their fortune. Tisk tisk, I've kept an eye on this kid for a while. He's visited the pill medicine shop, spirit rice store, and spirit meat store in quick succession, spending well over 200 lower-grade spirit stones. He's certainly wealthy. Really? How could a cultivator at the 2nd layer of Chi cultivation possess so many spirit stones? We have long heard that Misty Cloud City is awash in wealth. After all, it's backed by the Cloud Fog Mountain Range which provides plenty of means to earn money. If we slaughtered this kid, we would at least get several hundreds of spirit stones. It's a surefire windfall for us. But isn't it said that the rules in Misty Cloud City are extremely strict and one isn't allowed to randomly resort to violence? Foolish. Those are the rules of Misty Cloud City, not our rules. We just have to kill this kid, immediately leave Misty Cloud City, and see who can lay a finger on us. You're right. Let's lie low outside for 3 to 5 years after that. Once things have settled down, we can return. I bet nobody will be chasing after us by then. The trade-off is absolutely worth it. Hurry, let's follow him. It looks like the kid is heading towards the nearby alley. The 3 loose cultivators' eyes emanated a ruthless aura. They were habitual robbers and had once been bandits. After entering the world of cultivation, they were unable to shake off their habits of robbery. After all, earning money by painstakingly engaging in alchemy and talisman making was far too slow. Robbing simply brought quicker returns. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In a blink of an eye, these 3 loose cultivators immediately chased after Zhou Sui, fearing that he might escape. Boom. But the moment they entered the dark alley, an invisible force of illusion descended. They were caught completely off guard and had no time to react. In an instant, they were plunged into an illusion, becoming as lifeless as wooden chickens, unable to react in any way. Kill. Zhou Sui emerged from the shadows. With a thought, he let loose an invisible wave of soul energy that turned into a sharp blade, striking the 3 loose cultivators. Their souls were instantly shattered. With a thud, their bodies fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. A great amount of blood flowed from their noses, mouths, and eyes. At the time of their death, there wasn't any trace of fear on their faces. Instead, they wore peaceful smiles, as though they had had a pleasant dream. Incredible, is this the power of the Dream Soul Goo? Zhou Sui was quite astounded. Even though he knew the power of the Dream Soul Goo was formidable and beyond imagination, he hadn't expected it to be this easy to assassinate 3 loose cultivators, all of whom were at the 4th and 5th levels of Qi cultivation. If they were to have confronted each other directly, he would most definitely have been no match for any of them. But with the power of the Dream Soul Goo, he could dispose of them from the shadows, without leaving a trace. After all, there were hardly any cultivators at the Qi cultivation stage who possessed soul-attacking methods. It was a profound tactical advantage, leaving their opponents no chance of counterattack, even if they wanted to. I need to keep a low profile. Misty Cloud City is becoming more and more chaotic. I should stay at home to increase my cultivation for the time being. Zhou Sui soon calmed down. His current cultivation was still too low, being merely at the 2nd layer of Qi cultivation. This was equivalent to being the lowest of the low, nothing to boast about. If he encountered a powerful cultivator, they would likely not give him a chance to react, and could wipe him out in an instant. So, it certainly wasn't a time for him to be complacent. His victory could only be considered a slight display of self-protection. His priority now was to return home quickly and escalate his cultivation level to the 3rd level of the Qi condensation stage. The most pressing thing was that with the discovery of the Red Gold Mine and Spirit Stone Mine within the Cloud Fog Mountain Range and the direct involvement of the Immortal Mist sect, along with the arrival of numerous cultivators and their clans, there was a high likelihood that this area would become a place of strife. By then, numerous powerful cultivators would inevitably arrive. His current strength was essentially insignificant. If he wasn't careful, other cultivators could easily kill him, ending his life. With a whoosh. At this thought, Zhou Sui took all 3 storage bags from the loose cultivators. He carefully inspected the contents, which were worth approximately 500 lower-grade spirit stones. It could be considered a small fortune. He then quickly returned to his home. Chapter 14, Advancing to Qi Cultivation 3rd Level, Brewing Spiritual Wine. Only after returning home did Zhou Sui finally breathe a sigh of relief. After all, the outside world was too perilous, fraught with the threat of foreign cultivators at any time. Returning home was safer where few dared to intrude. Because this house was protected by a first-order defensive array, ordinary cultivators would have difficulty infiltrating without great sacrifice. Devour. As he calmed down, without hesitation, Zhou Sui immediately placed all the materials into the Gu Divine Bowl. Splash! In an instant, the Gu Divine Bowl thoroughly devoured these materials, merging them together, consuming a vast amount of spirit stones. Then a chubby dark gold bug appeared in the bowl, writhing comfortably and lazily. Then, a wave of information pierced into the deepest part of his sea of consciousness. Wine bug, one of the heavenly earthly strange insects, a peculiar insect found in wine, can miraculously transform decay into spirituality, turning common wine into spiritual wine, transforming first-grade spiritual wine into higher-grade wines. Spiritual wine refined by this wine bug is incredibly useful. It not only enhances the power of a qi refiner's true yuan but also refines their qi and enhances their physique. It is replete with benefits, driving people into a mad frenzy over it. Suddenly, a joyful look appeared on Zhou Sui's face. Though the wine bug lacked any combat power, it was his best means of making money. With wine bug, he could refine a large amount of spiritual wine. Undoubtedly, this wasn't just spiritual wine, it was a pile of spirit stones. With this realization, he promptly took out a jar of common wine from his body. This was casually purchased when he was buying supplies earlier. He bought nearly 20 jars for the purpose of turning it into spiritual wine. Gurgle gurgle. The wine bug seemed to have smelled the aroma of the wine and was immediately excited. It instantly plunged into the jar, gulping down the wine just like a drunkard. In no time, the jar of wine was emptied completely. Zhou Sui was initially uncertain about how the wine bug would transform this common wine, but the next second, the wine bug belched and spat out a large amount of wine from its stomach, like a fountain. Splash! Only a few moments later, a significant amount of spiritual wine was produced in the jar, releasing a fragrant aroma, radiating a golden light. It was mysterious and fascinating. But the volume of the wine was only half of what it was before. Even so, it was quite astonishing. With only half the wine lost, the common wine was transformed into spiritual wine, like turning decay into magic, usurping the wonders of heaven and earth. This is incredible. Zhou Sui gazed upon this jar of spiritual wine, the fragrance tantalizing his senses, creating an urge within him, like every cell of his body expressing a parched craving. It was as if his body was yearning to devour this spiritual wine. There were huge benefits to his body from this spiritual wine. Gurgle gurgle. Though Zhou Sui wasn't a wine drinker, he was fully enthralled by the intoxicating aroma, and he began to drink it heartily. In an instant, he felt that once the spiritual wine was swallowed, it immediately transformed into a refined energy, flowing into his meridians, bubbling into his limbs and his body. At that moment, he perceived that every pore of his body exuded a fragrant aroma, while the power of true yuan within his body visibly increased at a rapid pace. Thump! In an instant, Zhou Sui's body shook as he sensed one of his meridians being instantly penetrated by the vast power of true yuan. Qi condensation 3rd level. Under normal cultivation, he should have needed several months to possibly break through to the 3rd level of qi cultivation, but now, after one drink of spiritual wine, his cultivation soared. This was equivalent to saving several months of grueling cultivation. So, his cultivation had broken through in one fell swoop, becoming a 3rd level cultivator. His body's true yuan strength had also greatly increased, with an abundant surge of true yuan circulating within his meridians. Even the power of his soul had grown to some extent. The advancement to each state of a cultivator brings about an all-round evolution. No wonder so many cultivators crave spiritual wine. The effect of spiritual wine is just too good. Zhou Sui was in awe. Although he had heard of the great name of spiritual wine before, spiritual wine was too expensive, and whenever it appeared, it was immediately bought by others. The average cultivator simply had no chance to buy any. Because of this, Zhou Sui had never had a chance to taste spiritual wine. Now he understood why spiritual wine was so popular. The effect was on par with pills, yet without any toxicity, hence making it a favorite among cultivators. If it wasn't for the scarcity of spiritual wine, perhaps no one would be willing to take pills. Undoubtedly, the wine bug was like a god of wealth. With it, making money was only a trivial matter. The only worry now was that accumulating too many spiritual stones might draw the malice of others. Late at night, Ji Binjiu, Muzai, and Xia Jinjian, who had been out for a day, finally returned. The 3 women were travel-worn and obviously had some tough battles outside. Their bodies wafted a faint smell of blood. You're finally back. Zhou Sui was relieved when he saw Ji Binjiu and the others return safely. After all, it was very chaotic outside, and who knew what could happen. Don't worry, husband, we were mostly safe along the way. But, you've actually advanced in your cultivation, reaching the qi condensation 3rd level. Ji Binjiu was overjoyed as she noticed the change in Zhou Sui's aura. She didn't expect that just after being out for one day, her husband had advanced in his cultivation. Although the initial qi cultivation isn't hard to advance, it was only a month after their marriage and her husband had already gone from the first layer of qi cultivation to the 3rd level. Such cultivation efficiency was truly shocking. This. Xia Jinjian was somewhat bewildered. Could her previous guess be correct? Did this man actually possess a special spiritual body that was just activated, resulting in such rapid progression in cultivation? Honestly, the matter of a special spiritual body wasn't uncommon in the cultivation world, although it did not happen very often. Sure enough, the man chosen by elder sister Binjiu is not ordinary. Mu Ziyi was also a little surprised. Well, it's not that my aptitude is amazing, but there are other reasons. In fact, I got a jug of spiritual wine, which helped me to advance to the qi condensation 3rd level. Zhou Sui gave a slight smile. Spiritual wine? Did you go somewhere else to buy spiritual wine? Ji Binjiu asked curiously. Of course not, this spiritual wine is brewed by myself. Zhou Sui explained. You know how to brew spiritual wine, husband? Ji Binjiu was excited. After all, the brewing method for spiritual wine was a top secret. Not even some foundation establishment clans could find the method. If they really mastered this, it would be like having a small spiritual stone mine. This was a way to make a continuous profit from spiritual stone, a secret technique that could make a cultivation clan rise to power. Chapter 15 to 15 Wise Zhou Sui, your safety is the most important. Hearing this, Lady Mu and Lady Xia looked surprised, completely unexpected that the common cultivator in front of them has mastered such a secret technique. It was truly inconceivable. Suddenly, Zhou Sui became mysterious in their eyes. It's not so much mastering the secret technique of brewing spiritual wine, more that by a fortunate coincidence, I obtained a bug called the wine bug. Using the power of this spiritual pest, ordinary wine can be transformed into spiritual wine. Zhou Sui explained the reason he could brew spiritual wine. What? As soon as he said this, it was even more unbelievable for Ji Binjiu and the other 2 ladies. This was even more incredible than possessing winemaking secrets because it is equivalent to profiting without any cost. After all, the regular brewing of spiritual wine requires cost. Even if the price of spiritual wine is high, the cost is not cheap. Overall, it is just a one-time profit. But the wine bug? It can transform ordinary wine into spiritual wine, equivalent to not needing any money. If this news gets out, even foundation establishment cultivators, or even golden core cultivators, would be tempted. After all, who wouldn't want such a spiritual pest? My lord, this is a secret matter related to your life and fortune, how can you casually reveal it? If it becomes known to outsiders, you won't have enough lives to die. Ji Binjiu remarked in a faint voice. Even if they are partners, there are some secrets they do not wish others to share. The existence of the wine bug is such a shocking secret. If it were leaked, even foundation establishment cultivators would come to trouble Zhou Sui. You're my partner. If I cannot even trust you, who else in the world can I trust? Precisely because I consider you the closest person, I spoke about it. As for Lady Mu and Lady Xia, they are like sisters to you, and I naturally trust them as well. Zhou Sui displayed absolute trust. My lord. Hearing these words, Ji Binjiu's pretty face turned red. Her big watery eyes were immensely moved, just as if a torrent of warmth had gushed forth from her heart. She felt her love erupting like a volcano, even submerging everything. Indeed, he is the man I have chosen. This. Initially possessing a detached temperament, Lady Xia, who never trusted any unfamiliar cultivator, but now, for some reason, a faint touch of sentiment emerged in her heart. Like the proverb said, one would die for those who know them well. Perhaps this emotionally is similar to subjects who are willing to die for their monarch. Is this the man Sister Ji chose? Indeed, he's completely different, unlike other cultivators or other men in the world. Seems like my vision is far weaker compared to Sister Ji's. Indeed, I don't have much prowess in judging men. Previously, she thought Zhou Sui was just an ordinary man, as common as weeds everywhere. But now, she suddenly finds that there is an endless charm blooming on this ordinary man, as if there was a faint, sacred glow on him. At this time, she recalled the words her mother once told her, that indeed such a commonplace, yet full of charm, man existed in this world. She thought her mother was joking, but she didn't expect that there truly existed such a man in the world. She felt her heart beating wildly. It was a completely unprecedented feeling. Rest assured, we will definitely keep this secret. Even in death, no one will hear about it from us. Purple Yan, like Lady Xia, also felt a sense of being completely trusted by others. Within this world full of fraud and deception, survival of the fittest, where everyone only cares about their own gains, such men are really rare, even rarer than 10,000-year-old spiritual medicine. She didn't know why, but her body began to heat up. It seemed that this man was emitting a pleasant smell. At this moment, she felt just like a moth drawn to a flame, craving to throw herself into the man. No need to be so dramatic. If you encounter a life and death situation, revealing about the spiritual pest is no big deal. Because for me, your safety is the most important thing. Comparatively, the secret of the spiritual pest is trivial. Zhou Sui spoke carelessly, his affectionate words spilling out casually, as if they cost nothing. Of course, he's neither a saint nor someone who trusts others wholeheartedly. That's why he dared to reveal the secret of the wine bug to the three ladies. Because just now, his obsession Gu, when he was promoted to the third level of qi condensation technique, had given breed to 2 offspring. Just a moment ago, he quietly planted the offspring of obsession Gu into Lady Mu and Lady Xia. In not so much time, he believed that the power of obsession Gu would begin to work. So, he was not afraid of the other 2 ladies betraying him. Hearing these words, Lady Mu and Lady Xia's pretty faces turned red, and their hearts throbbed wildly. They couldn't use words to describe their feelings at the moment. Although they were decisive female cultivators, they had never heard a man say such things to them. Most male cultivators who met them either wanted to rob them, kill them for treasure, or they wanted to take them captive for their own perverse practices. In short, not many were well-meaning. What do you mean by you guys? My lord, don't tell me you're planning to take my 2 sisters as concubines. Ji Binjiao looked very dangerously at Zhou Sui. Cough, how could I? Your sisters are like my sisters too. Naturally, I should take care of them. Zhou Sui coughed. By the way, let's not talk about this now. With the existence of the wine bug, we should be able to sell the spiritual wine now, right? We can earn a lot of spirit stones by selling the spiritual wine. Then, you do not need to go out of the city for adventures. I heard recently that the Immortal Mist sect has sent many cultivators over, and many loose cultivators are rushing there. Misty Cloud City has become a dangerous place. If you carelessly adventure outside, you might encounter unimaginable dangers. He quickly changed the conversation. So that's the case, it seems the Lord is also aware of this news, worrying about my safety, and thus revealed about the wine bug. Ji Binjiao looked at Zhou Sui deeply, her heart filled with warmth. Her previous jealous mood disappeared instantly. After all, the man revealed the spiritual pest for her sake. Of course, even though you're a great warrior, but who doesn't slip by the river? It's safer to stay in the city and cultivate. If it's not necessary, don't go out of the city for an adventure. Now, just selling the spiritual wine is enough for our cultivation and daily expenses. Zhou Sui said solemnly. Being a homebody in his previous life, he naturally didn't like going out, and if he could make money at home, why venture out? It's not worth the risk. Moreover, this world is full of danger. One careless step would lead to death, so he had to be extremely cautious. Chapter 16, Half a Year, Advanced to 8-Stage Spiritual Route. If that's the case, how much spiritual wine can this wine bug produce? Ji Binjiao asked with immense curiosity. Well, it can create about 10 jars of spiritual wine in a night. Zhou Sui pondered and gave a specific number. After all, the wine bug only emerged recently. It's akin to a first-grade wine bug, and its abilities haven't greatly improved. The ability to convert 10 jars of spiritual wine was already quite remarkable. Of course, if the wine bug continues to evolve, the volume of spiritual wine it can convert will inevitably increase. 10 jars of spiritual wine. Upon hearing this, Muzi was also taken aback. 1 jar of spiritual wine can be divided into 10 pots, each pot of spiritual wine is worth 50 lower-grade spirit stones, which means a jar of spiritual wine is worth 500 lower-grade spirit stones. But the wine bug can convert 10 jars of spiritual wine in a night, wouldn't that mean one could earn 5,000 lower-grade spirit stones a night? That's just too absurd. She was utterly astounded. After all, even as a cultivator in the late Qi cultivation stage, taking risks in hunting magical beasts only yielded hundreds of lower-grade spirit stones, which was already quite a positive return. Most of the time, they returned empty-handed. And most importantly, they were putting their lives at risk in the process. A moment of carelessness and their lives could be lost forever. Yet now, thanks to the power of the wine bug, they can earn 5,000 lower-grade spirit stones overnight. The speed of this earning is terribly shocking. No wonder the secret formula for spiritual wine can enable a cultivation clan to rise. It's unimaginable to earn 5,000 lower-grade spirit stones a day. Wouldn't that amount to 150,000 lower-grade spirit stones in a month? Musei was also taken aback. She felt that this wine bug was simply a huge vein of spirit stones. While true spirit stone veins will inevitably be exhausted, the wine bug, as long as its lifespan endures, can continuously produce spiritual wine. If other cultivation clans and sects were to know about this, they would swarm in and scramble madly for it. At this moment, she truly recognized the importance of the wine bug. It was an earth-shaking spiritual pest that could raise a cultivation clan, whose value was incalculable. The benefits are indeed too astounding. If discovered by others, we will undoubtedly die. Even foundation establishment cultivators would move against us. So, we still need to be careful and cautious. Ji Binjiahu spoke in seriousness. According to our cultivation, earning 5,000 lower-grade spirit stones per month is enough. This is within reasonable limits. To exceed this number would be somewhat reckless. She made her decision, selling 10 jars of spiritual wine a month was enough. After all, selling too much could make them a target. Let's listen to you. Zhou Sui also nodded, strongly agreeing. Although it is ideal to have as many spirit stones as possible, we must also consider whether we have the power to protect them. If we can't, no matter how many spirit stones we have, they would only serve to benefit others. If they could earn a few thousand lower-grade spirit stones every month, it would fully satisfy their daily cultivation needs. Once their cultivation increases, then they can earn more spirit stones. There won't be any delay. Thank you, sir, for understanding. Our cultivation is still too weak. If we could become foundation establishment cultivators, we could sell spiritual wine openly and wouldn't have to worry about others' covetousness. Ji Binjiahu sighed deeply. But these were inevitable circumstances, the rules of survival for the scattered cultivator. For scattered cultivators with no backing, every action requires careful consideration as if treading on thin ice. An inadvertent mistake could result in catastrophe, hence the need for extreme caution. It's okay. As long as you don't venture into the wilderness for a while. I heard that Immortal Mist sect has brought a large number of cultivators into the Cloudy Mist Mountains. The situation in the mountains is very chaotic right now with killings everywhere. It's highly unsafe. Now that we have the spirit stones from selling spiritual wine, you don't have to take the risk of hunting beasts in the wilderness. Zhou Sui spoke sincerely. Okay, we will not take any risks in the near future. Ji Binjiahu looked at Zhou Sui with affection. Hearing his words, both Musei and Xiaojinjian were greatly moved. In their years as scattered cultivators, Zhou Sui was the first man they'd met who cared so much for them. If they could earn plentiful financial resources without lifting a finger, who would dare venture? Killing too many beasts will eventually lead to being killed by beasts instead. If they were out of luck and encountered a robbery, they would also die on the road. But now, with spiritual wine, even if they stay in Misty Cloud City, they would not have to worry about lack of spirit stones. This life was what they had always dreamed of. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. It was now winter in Misty Cloud City. Snow fell everywhere, creating a beautiful frosted scenery but also an incredibly cold climate. Many cultivators were shivering from the cold. However, Zhou Sui remained calm and composed at home, cultivating with his partner Ji Binjiahu. Last night, you cultivated 7 times with your partner. You have planted deep feelings of love, and you've obtained a certain degree of experience in swordsmanship. Your cultivation has increased to a certain extent. Your spiritual root aptitude has improved and advanced to an 8-stage spiritual root. Zhou Sui felt a jolt in his body after a night of dual cultivation. He sensed a mysterious warm stream flowing from the obsession gu into his spiritual root, causing a hugely transformative change in his spiritual root. At this moment, he realized that his spiritual root had been elevated from a 9th grade spirit root to an 8-stage spiritual root. Undoubtedly, it was an astonishing transformation. Other cultivators, no matter what they tried, could not improve their spiritual root aptitude. But now, he had merely dual cultivated for half a year and managed to advance from a 9th grade spirit root to an 8-stage spiritual root, an inconceivable feat. If this were known, it would undoubtedly shock countless cultivators. Is this the 8-stage spiritual root aptitude? Zhou Sui felt that his absorption efficiency of nature's spiritual energy had improved by a third compared to before, and even his understanding had improved to some extent. Compared to the 9th grade spirit root, his current aptitude had improved significantly. It was like being transformed from an idiot to an average person. Among many cultivators, the 9th grade spirit root was relatively rare, equivalent to a human fool. But now, having advanced to an 8th-stage spiritual root, he had managed to scrape into the category of ordinary cultivators. He had finally managed to escape from the ranks of fools. This had left Zhou Sui feeling incredibly thrilled. After all, this was only the beginning. If he were to continue, his spiritual root might reach the 7th or even 1st grade. If so, he would become a genius among cultivators. Chapter 17, Rising Prices, Heavy Rewards from Immortal Mist Sect. However, I still haven't managed to break through to the Qi cultivation 4th layer. Zhou Sui stroked his chin. After half a year of diligent cultivation, supported by the assistance of pills, the power of his true yuan surged, reaching the peak of the Qi condensation 3rd level. However, the transition from the 3rd to 4th level of Qi cultivation is a small but significant threshold. For a typical cultivator, it usually takes around 4 to 5 years to truly break through. But after he advanced to the 8th-stage spiritual root, he believed that he might not need that much time, likely only requiring several months to advance to the Qi cultivation 4th layer. Once there, he would be a cultivator at the mid-stage of Qi cultivation. Though this realm isn't particularly impressive, it at least puts him above those at the low level of cultivation. Moreover, this would grant him a certain degree of self-protection. Thinking about this, Zhou Sui stretched in his courtyard and walked towards the entrance, running into a few neighbors. "Oh, isn't this friend Zhou? Married to a beautiful woman, have you finally mustered the courage to leave your house?" The speaker was his neighbor Zhang Cheng, who was a lower 1st-grade pill master. He previously thought that Ji Binjia wanted to drain Zhou Sui, assuming Zhou Sui wouldn't last more than a couple of days. But to his surprise, Zhou Sui not only did survive for half a year but also raised his cultivation to the Qi condensation 3rd level. He knew Zhou Sui's spiritual root was a lower grade 1. Although he didn't know the specific grade, he was sure it was worse than his own. Under normal circumstances, one could not possibly advance from the 1st layer of Qi cultivation to the 3rd without more than a decade. However, after marrying Ji Binjia, who was at the peak stage of Qi cultivation 9th layer, Zhou Sui seemed to have suddenly struck gold and advanced to the 3rd Qi cultivation level. Undoubtedly, it was surely the result of the large amount of pills provided by Ji Binjia to assist in his cultivation. Without this support, his cultivation wouldn't have advanced so rapidly. Just thinking about how this kid had late-stage Qi cultivation parents supporting him when he was young, leading a worry-free luxurious life, and then being preferred by such a beautiful cultivator with abundant cultivation resources after growing up, Zhang Cheng was consumed with envy. Life was simply too unfair. If beautifying her life was her purpose, he also wasn't too shabby, but she still wasn't interested in him. "Uncle Zhang, you jest. I seldom go out just because I'm at a low level of cultivation, and I prefer to practice diligently at home. After all, with my current cultivation, it's not prudent to venture outside." Zhou Sui smiled slightly, appearing calm and composed. "Ah, staying home and practicing diligently is indeed a wise choice. Perhaps you are unaware of the chaos outside. Half a year ago, Lu Dong and a few others seemed to have died in the Yunwu mountain range. It is rumored they were killed by rogue cultivators. Poor Lu Dong was a Qi cultivation 7th layer cultivator. He might have harbored hopes of establishing his foundation, but who would have imagined that he would suffer such ill-fated tragedy and perish at the hands of those cultivators?" Zhang Cheng said with great emotion. "No way, Lu Dong is dead? Is this news true or false?" Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui was shocked. He had been practicing diligently at home for the past 6 months and hadn't paid much attention to the matter involving Lu Dong. Considering that he had the backing of 3 late-stage Qi cultivation female cultivators at his place, even if Lu Dong was supremely audacious, he wouldn't dare to make a fuss at Zhou Sui's house unless he was seeking his death. But who could have predicted that Lu Dong, without Zhou Sui doing anything, had already met his end? One major adversary suddenly vanished just like that. Still, this development also eased his heart quite a bit. With this enemy gone, he wouldn't have to bother making schemes against him any longer. Of course it's true. This news has already spread among all the neighbors. Zhang Cheng said in a heavy tone, it's said that someone around here ventured deep into the Yunwu mountain range and spotted the corpses of Lu Dong and others. Their bodies were mangled beyond recognition. They died a tragic death. He insisted that the incident was 100% true. If that is the case, was the murderer identified? Zhou Sui inquired curiously. How could it be possible to find the murderer? Upon hearing this, Zhang Cheng chuckled, you are unaware of the current circumstances. The Immortal Mist sect is vigorously developing the Yunwu mountain range and has brought a large number of cultivators into the mountains, most of whom are ruthless and vicious loose cultivators or cultivators from various families, any of whom could potentially kill others. Similar incidents have become far too common in the Yunwu mountain range, with countless cultivators dying each day. It's impossible to manage. And given that Lu Dong died in the wilderness, even less attention was paid. Saying this, he suddenly lowered his voice, and I've also received another piece of insider news. It's said that while the Immortal Mist sect was developing the red gold mine, they suddenly encountered a second-stage monster beast, resulting in numerous cultivator casualties, and even a Foundation establishment cultivator was seriously injured and fled in disgrace. This event triggered a large-scale retreat of cultivators. A second-stage monster beast appeared? Has the Immortal Mist sect given up? Zhou Sui was quite shocked. After all, a second-stage monster beast is as powerful as a Foundation establishment cultivator. It's extraordinarily formidable. Ordinary cultivators face certain death at its hand. How could they possibly give up? Zhang Cheng waved his hand. Yunwu mountain range harbors the red gold and spirit stone mines. If one can attain them, it would undeniably enhance the power of the Immortal Mist sect. They are definitely not willing to give up. After learning about the existence of the second stage beast, the Immortal Mist sect reportedly dispatched several Foundation establishment elders to the location, additionally increased the benefits, and even took out 5 Foundation pills. Whoever makes a significant contribution during the development of the Yunwu mountain range can earn a Foundation pill. Hearing this news, many cultivators are eager to follow the Immortal Mist sect into the Yunwu mountain range. A Foundation pill. Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui's pupils constricted. He could also fully imagine the frenzy among all the loose cultivators. After all, for a loose cultivator to attain a Foundation pill, they wouldn't know how many spirit stones it would cost them. Even if they had sufficient spirit stones, there was no channel to buy Foundation pills. This was an elixir that money couldn't necessarily buy. It could be argued that whoever possesses the Foundation pill could look forward to becoming a Foundation establishment cultivator. No wonder so many loose cultivators are mad with greed, all wanting to follow the cultivators from the Immortal Mist sect into the Yunwu mountain range. Because of this, the prices of pills, talismans, magic artifacts, spirit rice, etc., in Misty Cloud City are skyrocketing. A lot of loose cultivators are accumulating resources to have a deadly fight in Yunwu mountain range. Zhang Cheng stated that the prices of all kinds of things in Misty Cloud City have been crazy recently. The inflation is provoking the dissatisfaction of ordinary cultivators. The prices have at least doubled compared to before, and even the rent for houses in Misty Cloud City is rising. Countless loose cultivators are yearning to live in Misty Cloud City. After all, there are too many loose cultivators. If they live outside the city, they run the risk of being killed by rogue cultivators at any time. If they live in the city, their safety increases manifold. Chapter 18, Earning tens of thousands of spirit stones, getting rich with spiritual wine. By the way, friend Zhou, have you decided to take a risk and join the Immortal Mist sect in venturing into the Cloud Mist mountain range? Zhang Cheng asked. Why? Did many others also decide to join them? Zhou Sui asked in return. You are familiar with Tao, who is a Qi cultivation 8th layer cultivator, aren't you? He's decided to risk it with the Immortal Mist sect. Given his spiritual root aptitude, without the reward from the Immortal Mist sect, he can't hope to establish his cultivation base. If he's lucky this time and makes great contributions, he could receive the sect's reward. Although it doesn't guarantee successful base establishment, it could at least allow him to progress to the Qi cultivation 9th layer. Zhang Cheng explained. But the Cloud Mist mountain range is so dangerous, is it really worth the risk? Zhou Sui frowned. He did not believe that the Immortal Mist sect would be that generous. If developing the Cloud Mist mountain range wasn't dangerous, why would they be willing to offer so many resources as rewards? They say there must be brave men where there's a generous reward. Most likely, the Immortal Mist sect wants to attract loose cultivators to be their cannon fodder, shielding them from the many dangers of the Cloud Mist mountain range. Without any doubt, the death rate amongst these loose cultivators following the Immortal Mist sect into the mountain range wouldn't be low. Well, it's certainly worth the risk. In order to exploit the Cloud Mist mountain range, the Immortal Mist sect has dispatched 3 Foundation Establishment elders and over 100 Qi cultivation disciples. They are determined to succeed. If my cultivation wasn't insufficient, I'd also like to join them. Zhang Cheng sighed. He believed the Immortal Mist sect's move would certainly succeed. Forget it, I'm only at the Qi condensation 3rd level. Even if I do go, I won't receive much of a reward. It's better to stay home and cultivate quietly. If I really need more pills, I'd ask my Taoist friends. Zhou Sui gestured his disinterest in the venture. After all, his spiritual wine trade was prospering right now. He could earn at least 5,000 lower-grade spiritual stones each month and he didn't lack spiritual stones. If it wasn't to avoid drawing too much attention, he could have earned even more spiritual stones. Thus, he naturally wasn't going to risk his life for some rewards like other loose cultivators. His life was much too precious for that. What? Upon hearing this, Zhang Cheng's mouth twitched in jealousy. Why didn't he have such wealthy friends? It just wasn't fair. No wonder this guy didn't want to take the risk in the Cloud Mist Mountain. If he could easily get money from friends, who'd risk their life adventuring outside. He must have relied on that beautiful female cultivator, but it might not be her who nourished him, but him sucking the blood out of her. It's infuriating. How could such a thing happen in this world? My dear. At this moment, a delicate voice rang out. 3 attractive female cultivators walked in from outside. They were Ji Binjiu, Muzai, and Xia Jinjian. They left the house earlier to sell spiritual wine and buy various pills, materials, spirit meat, spirit rice, and other supplies. After all, Misty Cloud City was in chaos, filled with outsider cultivators. If Zhou Sui, a Qi condensation 3rd layer cultivator, went out so carelessly, he might face unexpected dangers. But it wouldn't matter as much if Ji Binjiu and the others went out. After all, they were late-stage Qi cultivation cultivators. No one would dare harm them. You're back, come in quickly. Zhou Sui smiled and promptly opened the door to let them in. Damn! Seeing this, Zhang Cheng felt bitter, very bitter. He was well into his 40s and was alone with no partner. He had to visit the red light district every day to deal with his needs, wasting a lot of spiritual stones and gradually exhausting his wealth. Yet, this young man had already gained the favor of a beautiful female cultivator. It's clear how comfortable his daily life must be. It's true what they say, you die of envy if you keep comparing yourself to others. He went back to his own room, closed the door, and decided to block them out of his sight. At this time, in the house, Zhou Sui, Ji Binjiu, Muzai, and Xia Jinjian had already sat down. So, how did the sale of spiritual wine go? Zhou Sui asked. Of course, it went well. Ji Binjiu smiled. After all, with the soaring prices in Misty Cloud City, the price of spiritual wine has risen to 100 lower-grade spiritual stones per pot. We sold only 100 pots but earned above 10,000 lower-grade spiritual stones. The money comes so fast it feels like it's burning my hands. She was truly amazed. In truth, without Zhou Sui's spiritual wine, she would have never known that earning spiritual stones could be so easy. There's no need to adventure outside, kill people for their treasures, or hunt down beasts. Just by selling spiritual wine, you can make an astonishing profit. In the last 6 months, just from selling spiritual wine, they earned tens of thousands of lower-grade spiritual stones. They'd never dared to dream of such a life before. Don't worry, we know that this amount of spirit stones is way too much, so we basically only work with taverns and don't sell to ordinary loose cultivators. These taverns have a large demand, and can easily buy dozens of pots. Most importantly, when we sell to the taverns, we alter our appearances before going. Even if they wanted to, it would be impossible for them to trace us. Muzai and Xia Jinjian explained. After all, they had been loose cultivators for many years and knew how dangerous it is to be targeted by enemies, definitely resulting in attacks from other cultivators. So, to avoid this, they always acted with caution, and never intended for others to know their true identities. If other cultivators knew they'd made so many spirit stones, they would certainly be attacked, causing a great deal of danger. To tell the truth, it's not totally risk-free. We have a feeling that after a half-year of selling spiritual wine, the tavern bosses are beginning to suspect our identities. Ji Binjiu said in a grave tone. With the strengthening of soul power, she became increasingly sensitive to hostility from others. At first, the tavern bosses might not have had any ulterior motives, but as time went on, they started questioning the origins of the binjayu and the other's spiritual wine. In that case, we should suspend the sale of spiritual wine for now. Even if we can't earn a lot of spiritual stones, your safety matters most. We absolutely cannot put ourselves in danger. Zhou Sui squinted. He felt this was already a dangerous signal, no amount of caution would be excessive. Chapter 19, Refining the Clone Gu. I think so too. Having obtained so many spirit stones, we actually have enough for our cultivation for the time being. Even if we got more spirit stones, if they can't be transformed into real power, they won't have any meaning. Ji Binjiu also agreed with this point. In fact, she too wanted to temporarily stop the sale of spiritual wine. After all, the extensive sale of spiritual wine has already aroused some suspicion among cultivators. Spiritual wine had been an extremely rare commodity, and it simply could not circulate on the market in large amounts. Yet now, even ordinary cultivators can purchase spiritual wine. Of course, this is just a preliminary suspicion. As the Immortal Mist sect is currently developing the Mist Mountain Range extensively, all cultivators' attention is focused on the Mist Mountain Range, and had barely noticed this point. Yet, even if we didn't sell the spiritual wine, it would be enough for us to drink. The spiritual wine's impact on our cultivation progress is tremendous, it's even better than ordinary pills. Musei voiced her feelings. After drinking spiritual wine for half a year, she felt her cultivation level dramatically advancing, about to break through from the Qi cultivation 7th layer to the 8th layer. Normally, it would be impossible without 4 to 5 years of cultivation. As one can imagine, spiritual wine's effect on her cultivation progress has been extraordinary. No wonder those cultivation clans monopolized the sale of spiritual wine. This time we went to those shops, we at least bought half a year's worth of spirit rice and spirit meat. For the time being, we don't need to go out to look for food. Half a year should be more than enough time for the matter to temporarily blow over. The tavern owners won't be paying us any attention. Xia Jinjian said in a deep tone. She also felt that they needed to stop selling for at least half a year and wait for things to die down. Thank you for your hard work. If it weren't for you, I would not be able to live such a peaceful life. Zhou Sui expressed his gratitude. It's nothing, sir. This is what I should be doing. Ji Binjiu looked at Zhou Sui tenderly. As time went on, she felt her love for Zhou Sui growing deeper. She absolutely did not want an outsider to disturb her peaceful life. Yes, brother-in-law, you just need to focus on cultivating, you don't need to worry about anything. Hearing this, Musei and Xia Jinjian's faces turned a shade of red, their hearts throbbing. Even such insignificant praise seemed to make them happy for a long time. This was their elder sister's husband, they should not be having such emotions, they shouldn't be having such thoughts. Having a crush on your own brother-in-law is very immoral. However, they just couldn't control themselves. During the late night, Ji Binjiu needed to cultivate, so she went to the quiet room next door. Even as spirit couples, it's not like they could practice dual cultivation every night. She also had her aunt Flo visits. Plus, Ji Binjiu's cultivation level had already reached Qi cultivation 9th layer. She was now aiming for the realm of the completion stage of Qi cultivation, so her cultivation time increased markedly. Should she advance to the completion stage of Qi cultivation, she would have a chance to advance to the foundation establishment realm. Once someone becomes a foundation establishment cultivator, not only does their cultivation level drastically increase, even their lifespan can be extended. They can generally live up to 250 years, which can be considered stepping on the path to longevity. Unlike Qi cultivation stage cultivators, who, regardless of their efforts to extend their lifespan, would only live up to about 150 years at most. It seems I need to refine some new gu insects. At this moment, Zhou Sui touched his chin, sinking into thought. Because the business of selling spiritual wine is easily targeted by other cultivators, if he's not careful, his whereabouts could be exposed. So, he must think of a way to resolve this issue so that even if he is targeted, it won't be traced back to him. To solve the current situation, I'm afraid the only gu insect would be the clone gu. Zhou Sui believed he had found the method to refine this gu insect from the gu divine bowl, and once successful, he would have a clone of his own. This way, when selling spiritual wine, he could just send his clone. Even if he encountered a threat, what would die would be just his clone. This can maximize the resolution of the danger faced when selling spiritual wine. In fact, throughout the past half a year, he had been looking for materials to refine the clone goo, and by now, he had finally prepared all the necessary materials for the clone goo. The main ingredient was soul distraction grass, valued at 2,000 lower-grade spiritual stones. Moreover, it was the type that even if you had money, you may not necessarily be able to buy. To refine. Thinking of this, Zhou Sui did not hesitate and immediately activated the Supreme Goo God Bowl. He threw all the materials into it and also threw in 800 lower-grade spiritual stones. To him now, a mere 800 lower-grade spirit stones were nothing, they were just a drop in the bucket. Whoosh! In an instant, all the materials instantly melted, and then a grey goo insect surfaced. At the same time, a huge stream of information surged like a tide into the depths of his sea of consciousness. The clone goo is a peculiar goo insect that can duplicate countless clones. Once integrated into the host's body, the stronger the host is, the more clones can be consolidated. Furthermore, the aura of the clone is almost indistinguishable from the main body, making it nearly impossible to discern truth from falsehood. The clone also inherits half the strength of the main body. Even more, the main body and the clone can instantly transmit information to each other, keeping the main body aware of everything the clone experiences. However, the clone can't distance too far from the main body, or the clone will instantly die. Upon perceiving this information, Zhou Sui felt extremely elated. There's no doubt that the capabilities of the clone goo are extraordinary. It could not only split into countless clones. Even if the clone dies, it wouldn't affect him. Although the clone can't be too far from his main body, within 100 kilometers, there shouldn't be any problem. In other words, he completely could control the clone goo to go to dangerous places to explore for him. At the initial stage, he could only consolidate 3 clones. As his cultivation level increases, the number of clones would also further increase. But 3 were already enough for now. He could use these 3 clones, distribute them around Misty Cloud City, and sell spiritual wine to earn massive amounts of spirit stones at the same time. Even if they were discovered by enemies and the clones were killed, it's impossible to harm his real body. It can be said that this is an extraordinarily powerful ability for self-preservation, with endless applications. With this clone goo, I can use my clones to go to the market to buy various supplies or even sell spiritual wine. Zhou Sui was extremely excited. Honestly speaking, the reason he didn't dare to leave his home previously was due to his low cultivation level. If he were targeted by other loose cultivators, it would certainly be a dire situation. But with a clone to help, he didn't need to worry about anything. The clone could completely replace him, going to the market to buy all sorts of supplies and materials. Even if he encountered danger, it would merely mean the loss of 1 clone. It didn't matter at all. Chapter 20, Promotion to Qi Cultivation 4th Layer, Taking Mu Zi as a Concubine. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed, and it was late at night. The outside remained peaceful as ever. "I'm sorry, my lord, I have my monthly cycle today, I'm afraid I can't serve you tonight," said Ji Binjiu apologetically. "It's all right." Zhou Sui waved his hand and assured her. Though he was used to practicing dual cultivation with his Dao partner at night, he didn't mind taking a break occasionally. "This won't do. If I'm not able to serve my husband, I'm failing my duties as a wife. Why don't you get a concubine who can take care of you when I'm not feeling well?" Ji Binjiu suggested. "What?" Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui was flabbergasted. Even with his vivid imagination, he never expected Ji Binjiu to make such a suggestion. It was beyond his wildest dreams. This was the first time he'd heard of a wife willingly suggesting her husband take a concubine. "That's not really appropriate." Zhou Sui swallowed, hesitating. "My lord, I know you love me, but it's a failure on my part if I can't serve you," Ji Binjiu said. Expecting a powerful cultivator to be committed to one woman for their entire life just isn't realistic. "So, I began to look for suitable candidates for a concubine for you," Ji Binjiu explained earnestly. "This?" Zhou Sui was speechless. What kind of ideas had the notorious Cultivation World planted in the heads of these female cultivators? To not only propose the idea of a concubine himself but to also have chosen the candidate, he was bewildered. In the moment, he didn't know what to say. All he could think was that Ji Binjiu was truly a good Dao partner. "Ahem, in that case, who have you chosen as the concubine?" Zhou Sui asked curiously. How about my friend Muzi? Ji Binjai let out a slight smile. She's been my close sister for many years, has a gentle disposition, stunning beauty and a good figure. She can take care of you when I can't, and you also know each other, so there won't be any discomfort. But would she be willing? Zhou Sui blinked. Of course, she is. I talked to her today, and she agreed without hesitation. She must have been deeply attracted to you, my lord, so she didn't refuse. Ji Binjai laughed. Click. At this moment, Muzi opened the door and walked in meekly. Blushing, she barely dared to look at Zhou Sui, blushing to an extreme. I'll leave you two alone now. Ji Binjai smiled and walked out of the room, leaving Zhou Sui and Muzi alone. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and it was soon morning. At this moment, a burst of information instantaneously entered the depths of Zhou Sui's sea of consciousness. You performed dual cultivation with Deo partner Muzi 7 times last night, and the love between you is strong. You gained a certain level of experience in the art of talismans. Your spiritual root aptitude has improved to a certain extent. You received the yin force from your partner, and your cultivation improved, you've elevated to the 4th layer of qi cultivation. In an instant, Zhou Sui sensed an enormous energy that instantly helped him break through a bottleneck, made a breakthrough in his meridian, and enhanced his true yuan force significantly. Compared to before, the true yuan force was at least double. Unmistakably, being in the mid-stage of qi cultivation implies that he had started to separate himself from struggling cultivators. Even in Misty Cloud City, this level of cultivation began to set him apart from the lower middle-class cultivators. Now he understood why the qi cultivation midway is so much stronger than the initial stage. Not only did the body undergo astonishing fortification, but the inner true yuan force also increased by more than double. Simply, the crushing true yuan force alone is sufficient to eliminate 4 or 5 third-level cultivators. He could feel the surging true yuan force flowing through his meridians, a sense of great power filling his entire body. I didn't expect to advance to the 4th level of qi cultivation so quickly. Zhou Sui was overjoyed. Based on his estimations, under normal cultivation, it would take years to break through from the 3rd level of qi cultivation to the 4th level. This was a significant bottleneck, even for someone with an 8th-stage spiritual root aptitude. A tremendous amount of time is required to break through. But now, after receiving Muzi's yin force, he broke through the 3rd level of qi cultivation immediately, resulting in a significant increase in his cultivation. Congratulations, my lord, on upgrading to the mid-stage of qi cultivation. At this moment, Muzi also detected the change in Zhou Sui's aura and said excitedly. I owe it all to you, Zi. If it weren't for your help, I wouldn't have broken through so quickly, said Zhou Sui, appreciatively. No, it's all because of your exceptional talents, my lord, I only helped a little. I didn't really do anything. Muzi, redder than ever, feeling ecstasy, as if Zhou Sui praising her was the greatest accomplishment. But are you really okay with being my concubine? Isn't it a bit unfair to you? Zhou Sui asked. No, not at all, I find it an absolute honor to be chosen by you, given my background. Muzi looked at Zhou Sui teary-eyed. Your background? Come to think of it, I don't think you've ever spoken about your past, Zi. Zhou Sui asked curiously, wanting to know about Muzi's past. There isn't much to tell, I'm from the Mu family, a foundation establishment clan that's quite far away from Misty Cloud City. I'm the daughter of a concubine. Muzi began to talk about her past. Even though I'm a concubine's daughter, I wasn't treated badly because I had a spiritual root. I was provided with adequate resources. Who would have thought that it was all a facade? On my 18th birthday, the Mu family suddenly decided to marry me off to the patriarch of another foundation establishment clan, the Lu family. The patriarch was indeed a foundation establishment cultivator. However, he was an old man, over 200 years old, and on the verge of death. Of course, I didn't want to marry him. But as a daughter of a concubine from the Mu family, I had no choice but to obey the family's orders. They insisted that I marry him. Just as I was giving up hope, Sister Ji appeared and rescued me. She took me away from the Mu family. Even when the Mu family was livid, they couldn't do anything to me. Since then, I've been traveling the cultivation world with Sister Ji. She was my savior, she gave me a new life. She talked briefly about her past experience. She was 29 years old now, with a 6th stage spirit root aptitude. Moreover, She also was a first-grade superior talisman master. Without a doubt, she was an indisputable genius in the art of talismans.